Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Welcome back, dear brothers and sisters. Alhamdulillah, in last session we introduced ourselves to the plurals and different forms of broken plurals, the different patterns, and we did Jama' Mudhakkar Salim and Jama' Taksir. So now we know how a noun is made into a Jama' Salim and Jama' Taksir. So inshallah today we will be using certain plurals, certain nouns and verbs, and making sentences and understanding and analyzing some sentences inshallah. So let's begin our conversation here. It says, Man ha'ula'il fityatu tiwalu ya aliyu. So Ali is being questioned about these tall men. He says, Man is adatul istifham, it's who, it's an ism, and say ha'ula'i. Ha'ula'i is ismul ishara lil qarib lil jam'u. So it is like hadha. Say if it was a single man, say man hadal fata at-tawil. So, but because it's plurals, we will say man ha'ula'il fityatu. So after ismul ishara, what you get is a badal. So there's al, so it is badal. So you can say, who are these young men? But we got at-tiwalu, so it's not. So we will first translate not and then man'ud and then this ismul ishara. So you get, who are these tall young men? Ya Ali. So at-tiwal is a na'at. So hum tullabul jududu. So if you see here, hum is mubtada, tullabun is the khabar, mufrad, one word, but it is a plural noun. Tullabun is students, and jududun is a na'at. So we have a na'at which is also a plural na'at. It's not jadidun. Jadidun is single. If we were to tell about one student, we will say huwa talibun jadidun. But because we are matching mubtada and khabar to the plural, so everything has to be matched. So hum is plural for pronoun mubtada, tullabun is a khabar matching to the mubtada, and jadidun not. So everything matches each other. Min aina hum, from where are they? So you say hum min Amrika. So hum min Amrika, they are from Amrika. So min Amrika is jar majrur shibu jumla khabar. But if you see here, we don't see a sign of kasra because the noun is ending with a mad alif which has sukoon, so it doesn't take any fatha, dhamma, kasra, but we know it is ism majrur. So this is a khabar, jar majrur shibu jumla khabar. Let's remind ourselves for what are the different types of khabar we have learned so far. So this is very important. So as we go along, we need to keep going back to this khabar business so we understand how the sentences are formed. So we know when the khabar is one word, it is marfu, like we did in the previous sentence, hum tullabun wa talibun. Mufrad, it is marfu, it will have a sign of dhamma. But if it is a combinations, we know there are two combinations. First is jar majrur shibu jumla khabar, where there is a harf jar and ism majrur. And the second is we have a zarf, like qabla, ba'da, amama, fawqa, khalfa, ma'a. So the whole of special mudafs, that is also a khabar, a shibu jumla khabar. Then we have a whole of jumlatul fi'liya coming as a khabar for a mubtada, and we have a whole of jumlatul ismiya itself coming as a khabar for mubtada. So these are the types of khabar which we need to keep in our mind as we go along, inshallah. So let's continue. Ahum zumala'uka, are they? Zamilun is colleague, singular. So zumala'u, fu'ala'u, fuqara'u, that's the pattern. So zumala'u, ka we know is asking person in front of you. So are they your colleagues? So this is plural. So obviously we know when the question starts with a, harf istifham, always we know it is either na'am or la. So here we are telling na'am, yes. Hum zumala'i, hum fi fasli, They are my colleagues and they are in my class. So let's analyze here. So hum is mubtada, zumala'u is actually a khabar, mufrad, so it is damma. Now we have khabar wahuwa mudaf, and now it's becoming mudaf, and this is ya mutakallim. Because of this ya, zumala'u is pronounced as zumala'i. Ya turns into kasra. So but we know this is a damma. But if you see here, hum fi fasli, so if it is without ya, it is already having a kasra, and ya mutakallim is just prolonging it. Fi fasli is my class. So this is how we need to understand which word stands where, inshallah. So now hum zamala'i, hum fi fasli. Ahum mujtahiduna, are they hardworking? If it was a single, ahuwa mujtahid, mujtahidun. So we say a means obviously we need to have na'am or la again. So we say na'am hum mujtahiduna. So mujtahiduna is coming as a khabar mufrad. So we just now learned khabar mufrad is marfu. It should have a sign of damma, but we don't see any sign of damma here. The reason why we don't see sign of damma is because of the combination waw and noon. So we know when we add waw and noon, that's a sign of plural, and this waw and noon is a sign of damma. So you see waw and noon, we know that it is marfu. How do we know it is majroor? Is if you have to say like this, hum mim mujtahideen, they are from hardworking. So if you see, what did we change? We made it ya and noon. So if it was a singular, we say huwa mim mujtahidin. So we can see kasra, we know it is majroor. But if it is a plural, we don't see kasra. What do we see is combination. Combination of ya and noon is kasra. So now we know this is majroor. Whereas here we know waw and noon, if you see, that is damma. So now we know this is marfu and this is majroor. This is how we recognize. Inshallah, we'll do practice as we go along and we will get used to this, inshallah. So ma asma'uhum. So what are their names? What are their names? Always we'll translate mudaf ilayhi and mudaf. Asma'uhum, their names. Yasirun, which is a very beautiful sentence here, because we can see different types of marfu here. So we got Yasirun, marfu bid damma, Zakariya. These are the names which ends with a mad. As we know, mad does not have any vowel sign, so it doesn't take any fatha, damma, kasra. But we know it is marfu because it is waw ataf. Zakariya is mawtufun ala Yasirun. Yasirun is rafa, so therefore Zakariya is also marfu. Waw ataf again. Musa, again Musa is ending with the alif maksura. So alif maksura doesn't take any vowel sign. Whether it is marfu, mansub or majroor, it will remain same. But we know that which word is marfu, which word is mansub, and when it is majroor. Here it is marfu because it is mawtufun ala Yasirun. Wa Abdullahi. So Abdullah is a combination of mudaf, mudaf ilayhi. Abdu, we see Abdu because it is mawtufun ala Yasirun wa huwa mudaf, and Allah is mudaf ilayhi. If this were mansub, we will say Yasiran wa Zakariya wa Musa wa Abdullahi. Abdullahi. If it was majroor, we will say Yasirin wa Zakariya wa Musa wa Abdullahi. Wa Abdullahi. So this is how we have to understand the different types of marfu signs and understand them. So coming to the word, this asma'u is mubtada wa huwa mudaf and hum is mudaf ilayhi. I just want to take you to this word asma'uhum. If you see how this Hamza is written, there's a certain spelling rules how we write. So as we go along, just learn that as well. So asma'un is the word. Af'alun is the plural of ismun. Ismun is singular name and it starts with Hamzatul wasl. This is very important to remember, Hamzatul wasl, where plural of ism name is names, which is asma'un, starts with Hamzatul qata. So that's why when we said Asma, ma asmahum. We didn't say masmahum. If it was a one name, we say masmuka, masmuhu. That is Hamzatul Wasl. But asma'uhum is Hamzatul Qata. It's very important to remember. So when asma'un becomes mudaf, we will lose one dhamma. So it becomes asma'u al-fityatu. So asma'ul fityati, names of young men. But if we turn this fityatu into a pronoun, or any letter is joined to Hamza, then Hamza has to sit on a chair. But if it is coming after a mad, it will sit on its own. Whenever you see Hamza coming after alif, then it can sit on its own. But any word is joined to it, then it needs a chair depending on the sound. So we know Hamza takes 3 chairs: waw, alif and ya. So here, if you see, hum is attached to the word. The pronoun is attached to the word. When a word is attached, the Hamza will go into a chair. So that's why it is written as asma'uhum. Let's give some more example. If you say abna'un, so abna'u Muhammadin. So it is a mudaf, mudaf ilayhi, names of children of Muhammad. Abna'u is children, children of Muhammad. But if you want to say abna'uhu, so if you turn Muhammad into a pronoun, so hu, it is attached. As soon as a word is attached to a Hamza, it will sit on the chair. So depending on the sound, it will take a, so here we got u, so it will take a waw as a chair. So zumla'u, zumla'u hamidin, zumla'uka. So if you see here, that's why it takes a chair. For example, ula'ika. So Hamza takes a chair of ya. Ha-ula'i. So Hamza takes a chair, because whenever a Hamza is attached, a letter is attached after it, it will take a chair. This is the spelling rule we need to remember, inshallah. So going back to our conversation. So now Ali is being asked, وَمَنْ هَؤُلَاءِ الرِّجَالُ الْقِسَارِ. So who are these short men? So qisar is, means qasir, comes from qasir, qisarun, plural. So هَؤُلَاءِ mubtada, badal, al-rijalu, al-qisaru is na'at. So the answer is hum hujjajun. They are people who are doing hajj. Hujjajun. Min ayna hum, from where are they? So it says ba'duhum, some of them. Ba'du is mubtada wa huwa mudaf, hum mudaf ilayhi. And min as-sin is jar majrur shibu jumla khabar. Ba'duhum min as-sin wa ba'duhum min al-yaban. Some of them from China and some of them from Japan. Ayn al-Mustafa wa asdiqa'uhu. Where is Mustafa and his colleagues? Asdiqa'uhu. See how it is written? Asdiqa'u, af'ila'u, atibba'u, atbiba'u, actually atibba'u. So if you remember, that's the pattern. Asdiqa'uhu, and his colleague. So another very beautiful sentence coming here. So we've already done in a singular, we're going to do in plural now. Zahabu ilal mat'ami. So what is zahabu? Is jumlatul fi'liya. So we have done zahaba for a singular. Now we're using zahabu. So if we see a verb, what do we see in a verb? We see a fa'al and fa'il. So if you see here, the fa'il is attached to the verb, and this alif is just to a writing rule. So waw is the fa'il, but this waw is representing whom. Hum zahabu. So we know the pronoun itself is represents somebody else. So who is this waw representing? It represents whom. Whom means Mustafa and his colleagues. Let's do this sentence in a singular. See, at-talibu dhahaba ila al-mat'ami. So we have done this before. The student, jumlatul ismiya. So we have up mubtada, and dhahaba ila al-mat'ami, jumlatul fi'liya, coming as a khabar. So if you want to make this into a plural, so at-talibu will become at-tullabu. At-tullabu is mubtada, and we know the khabar has to match a mubtada. Here the mubtada was singular and the khabar, even the fi'l, is singular. But here mubtada is jam'u, tullabu. So our khabar should also begin with a fa'al which is jam'u. So here at-tullabu zahabu. But when we change this sentence, here where a lot of students they find it a little bit difficult to understand, but we'll do it a lot of times, we'll repeat ourselves. So let's see if we can get this concept here. So if we turn this jumlatul ismiya into a jumlatul fa'liya, how do we do? So we say dhahaba at-talibu ila al-mat'ami. Dhahaba is a fa'al, a pure fa'al. So we're looking for a fa'il. So we have to look for after the fa'al. If we see sign of dhamma, we know it is a fa'il. So we are telling the student went. The student went ila al-mat'ami. So dhahaba always comes with ila. So now let's try and make this into a jumlatul fa'liya, where we find a little bit confusing. So normally what do? We would write dhahabu, because we're talking about plurals. We'll say dhahabu tullabu ila al-mat'ami, because dhahabu means whom, they went. But this is wrong, because waw is a pronoun, it's a damir, so we know it is whom. So whenever there is a pronoun, it is always represent something which is before. It doesn't represent something which comes after. So whenever there is a waw, we should always look for we don't look for the file, because waw itself is a file which represents whom, and for whom we will see here at-tullabu before. But if you have to bring tullabu in front, we will use dhahaba. Dhahabat tullabu. This is how it is written, because we don't want to repeat ourselves. Waw and tullabu, they represent both the same, so we don't want to repeat. So what we do is we just write a singular verb dhahaba, and we will make this as a fa'il. The fa'il can be a singular noun or a plural noun or a dual noun, anything. So at-tullabu, the students went. So we say, so we don't say the students, they went. So that's how it will become here. But here it will become the students went to restaurant. Let's do some more examples so that we get a little bit comfortable with this. You say at-talibu jalasa fil fasli. The student sat in the class. So if you want to make a jumlatul ismiya, at-tullabu jalasu. The students sat. The khabar has to match at-tullabu. But if the same sentence at-tullabu jalasu fil fasli, if you make it a jumlatul fa'liya, so we'll say jalasat tullabu. So the students sat fil fasli. In English we translate both into same way. The students sat in class. But if you see now, it makes a lot of difference how it is written and how it is translated in Arabic. That's why it's important whether to know it is jumlatul ismiya, jumlatul fa'liya, fa'il, fa'il. How do we recognize and how do we write? So let's do another example, inshallah. Al-mudarrisu kharaja min al-madrasati. Kharaja min al-madrasati. So how do we make into plural? Al-mudarris will become al-mudarrisuna. Kharaja will become kharaju. They left. The teachers, they left min al-madrasati, from the school. But if you want to make this as a jumlatul fa'liya, we'll say kharajal mudarrisuna. So we know waw known is a sign of marfu. So that is the fa'il. Kharajal mudarris. The teachers went from min al-madrasati. So the last example, inshallah, for today. At-tajiru dhahaba ila suq. The businessman went to the shopping mall. So if you want to make it plural, tajiru will become tujjaru. At-tujjaru dhahabu. Jumlatul fa'liya coming as a khabar, so we have to match it. Dhahabu ila suqi. But if you want to write it in a jumlatul fa'liya, we'll say dhahabat tajiru. Dhahabat tujjaru. Dhahaba at-tujjaru ila suq. So this is how we use plurals and khabars and nouns and verbs, inshallah. So write and practice these conversations and these sentences, and we will repeat ourselves and we will get more comfortable, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.